I am 51 years old. My wife is 46, and 7 months ago, we had our first baby. How about that? Well, it was right. That's what I said. People are way overanalyzing why we waited so long to have children. They're like, was it a calling from God? Was it a midlife crisis? And the truth is, we just need help with our computer. We got questions we don't understand. Our friends are asking their grandkids. We're like, we'll just make one. We'll just make one and figure out how to afford a Mimi. So, now the real reason is my wife and I just got married 3 years ago. And I was 48 years old before I got married for the first time. I held out that long. Just always wanted that trophy wife, you know? And then after a while, I was like, a participation trophy wouldn't be bad. So, just something to put on that tombstone. So, no, that's a joke. My wife is way out of my league. I'm very lucky to have her. Well, you guys know that. I mean, you haven't seen her, but you've seen me. So, I don't have to tell you. You see what she's working with here. So, I'm very fortunate to have her in my life. And I actually proposed to her on a trip together to Amsterdam. Has anybody been to Amsterdam? Yeah, some of you? Yeah, it's a great city. I would recommend anyone to go. But I'd never been before, so I didn't know where I was going to pop the question. I just knew I wanted to do it on this trip. I'm there for a week, and it's getting late in the week, and I've yet to do it. But on the last night there, we went to the Anne Frank house. And if you haven't been to the Anne Frank house, it's very powerful, it's very moving, but it's also very sad. And when we left, I noticed a little tear come down her cheek from what she'd just seen. And I was like, you know what? I bet I know what cheer her up. So I got down on one knee, which wasn't easy, mind you, because my legs were still kind of sore because we'd just been climbing up that attic. I got down on one knee and I said, I don't want to hide the love for you anymore in the attic of my heart. Okay, that part's not true. I did not propose to the Anne Frank house. It's actually worse. I proposed before we went to the Anne Frank house. So she was way too excited to be at the Anne Frank house. Just a glow about her as we walked through there, just smiling ear to ear. We can't go back there. It was borderline inappropriate, so. We also went to the Van Gogh Museum, which again I'd recommend, but I made the same mistake that I make at every museum. I do not allocate my time wisely because I overestimate my interest level. I show up very interested. I spent 15 minutes just on the first painting, just like, wow, look at that. The contouring, the texture. I know nothing about paintings, by the way. I'm just so into it because it's Van Gogh. I'm like, this is so cool. Now, 3 hours later, we're now both hot, tired, sick of people, hungry, ready to go eat. We're now power walking past masterpiece after masterpiece, like we're just a couple of gals on our lunch break just trying to get some exercise. At that point, we were so tired, so over it, they could have been like, hey, you want to see Van Gogh's severed ear? His actual severed ear. And I'd be like, do I have to walk up one more flight of stairs? Because if so, I'm just going to pass and buy a replica in the gift shop. The zoo is the same way. The zoo puts the best animals in the back of the zoo. But by the time I get back there, I don't care. Because I'm too tired. They could be like, hey, you want to see an albino Sasquatch? Not just a Sasquatch, an albino one. Even more rare. And I'd have to be like, no, I'm too tired. All because I spent the first 30 minutes at the zoo observing the North American blackbird. Which turns out, Wasn't even part of the zoo. Just happened to land there because I was near the funnel cakes. So we had a small wedding. Not our choice, our friend's choice. Yeah, they didn't want to be there. At our age, our friends were like, dude, we're not coming to another wedding. You missed the window by like 25 years. I'm not dressing up. I'm not missing another Saturday college football for this. I'm just not doing it. At my age, I had a hard time finding friends to even be in my wedding. That's my one buddy, be my best man. He's like, man, I'd love to do it. But with my bad knee, if it rains, that thing tends to lock up on me. Are we gonna be standing the whole time? Because I can't stand. I'm like, yeah, we'll probably be standing at my wedding. Probably so. One of my friends said, man, I'd love to be there, but my daughter's getting married the same weekend. Nothing I knew about that. I tell you who was excited about me finally getting married, though. My church. Because they didn't know what Sunday school class to put me in. I go to a big church, has all kinds of classes for all types of different backgrounds. Not for a 48-year-old single man. They were stumped. They didn't know what to do. They're like, we can't put him in the youth group. We've got to find somewhere. I'm not qualified to teach a class. I volunteered to help out in the nursery, but that got shot down pretty fast. My church was finally like, look, we don't normally suggest this, but why don't you just go home? Just read your Bible or something, and we'll text you if there's anything we think you need to know. But now I'm married. I finally get to be in the marrieds class at my church. Finally got married at 48, and then my buddies had the nerve to tell me, man, you got to be careful now when you're out there on the road because women are going to find you more appealing. I was like, what? They're like, yeah, man, it's true. It's a turn on for them. They see that wedding band on your hand. It's a challenge. So you got to be careful when you're out there not to fall for temptation. I'm like, you are crazy. They're like, it's true. I did not believe them, folks. I did not. But sure enough, I was right. It has not been a problem at all. Not one bit. God has covered me in more protection than I asked. I mean, he has really looked out for me. Not a problem one bit. And some of you may be like, well, you're a comedian. Women like funny guys. Yeah, women like cool funny. They don't like creepy funny. And there's a difference. Every woman here knows the difference. I'll give you an example. Back when I was still single, me and my buddy were talking to these two women after a show. He introduces himself. His last name's Bond. So one of the girls goes, Bond? Like James Bond? He goes, that's right. How about you come back to my place and I'll make you a martini. Shaken, not stirred. She giggled and he was in with her. That's cool funny. So I looked at the other girl and I said, well, my last name's Bates. Want to come back to my place and take a shower? You can meet my mom. She did not laugh, because that's creepy funny.